Our live watch party for the Indiana Fever vs. Dallas game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in.
Good Lord, it was domination, 102-83.
But she did come away with 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals.
Following Caitlin Clark's crushing victory over the Paige Bueckers, the WNBA goes crazy. In the most anticipated rookie matchup the WNBA has ever witnessed, Caitlin Clark just destroyed Paige Bueckers, and it wasn't close. In a game that left the league in flames, the Indiana Fever destroyed the Dallas Wings 102-83. Clark made sure that everyone understood that this was a statement.
This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in.
This game was an absolute blowout.
It wasn't only expected that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would face off. It was a historic event. Fans drew attention to the date for weeks. One court to number 1 picks to generational abilities, and one question that everyone is thinking about: who is in charge of the WNBA in this new era?
This is what it looks like when they let Caitlin Clark.
Because what was intended to be a match between two equal forces to number 1 picks, to college greats, and to potential league faces became a masterclass led by Caitlin Clark. It was no longer a game by halftime, it was a declaration.
There were, again, 5 players on the Indiana Fever who scored.
Let's go back. Paige and Caitlin had never met as professionals before. There was unbelievable hype. Paige made a strong impression. She had a striking appearance. She fired shots. On 9 of 15 shots, she finished with 21 points. For rebounds and for assists, the data was good, but here's the problem. They were relevant as a change occurred midway through the second quarter. Caitlin made a change,
where the Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102.
She began to take charge of everything. Caitlin Clark took ownership of the occasion rather than merely embracing it. Clark took over the wheel as Bueckers came out fire. Everything has her fingerprints on it. This season's league-high 64. First half points were scored by the Fever, and it had already ended by halftime.
Caitlin Clark running the show. Caitlin Clark running the offense, being the innovator of offense, the distributor of offense.
Not that she was jacking up shots. Like a surgeon, she was dissecting the game. She read every passing path, punished every delayed rotation, and identified every flaw in the Wings' defense. She played with a groin ailment that limited her playing time, but she still managed to score 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals.
Caitlin Clark ended the game with 14 points, 13 assists.
Let's stop there. Despite being hurt, she set a career high in steals and had the stamina to lead the attack like a pro. Oh, and with 30 team assists, she also assisted Indiana in setting a franchise record. That is dominance, not merely
Caitlin Clark
leadership.
now has the 5th most double-doubles with points and assists in WNBA history.
In the second quarter, the Fever spiked from 36 to 15. Whatever strategy Dallas had was wrecked by that run. The most points scored by any WNBA club this season was 64 in the first half. And Paige was powerless to stop it, even when she had her chance. A tough, deft steal and one finish over Clark hardly made a dent in the advantage. It was 60-42 at the half. The game was prepared.
In this game, Caitlin Clark had a monster all-around game. Everybody ate in this game. Everybody got fed.
Paige was outscored by Caitlin. She was surpassed by her. She made every move matter by transforming the court into a chessboard. The Wings, meanwhile, appeared to be missing. No chemistry, no pace, no answers, despite Lure scoring 16 and Natasha Howard dumping 18. The Fever was simply too much.
The difference, that is the difference maker between Caitlin and Paige.
Furthermore, it was a passing of the torch rather than merely a victory. Or perhaps Paige didn't even get a chance to hold the flame before it was stolen from her. Caitlin made it apparent that she is not waiting for anyone to catch up because This league is moving quickly. Fans were bursting by the end, not just buzzing. Millions of people watch TikTok vids. Twitter became a shrine to Caitlin Clark. The scariest thing is that this is just the first round.
There's just such a noticeable difference of when Caitlin Clark is on the floor, how she play makes with her team, the kind of passes that she passes to her team, the way that the floor opens up when Caitlin is on the floor because of how the defenses have to adjust.
Caitlin Clark was engaged in more than simply basketball. She was still outthinking everyone on the floor, limping from a strained groin, and revising the rules. She managed to score 14 points, dish out 13 assists, steal 5, and wait 4. It all within the allotted minute. That should mess with your head if it doesn't already.
She got it. She got it. She got it.
She made 412 field goals, barely brushed the rim half the time, but because she wasn't there to drop 40, it didn't matter. She was present to oversee the whole game. And she performed like a conductor using a basketball rather than a baton.
Caitlin Clark has reached 200 points and 100 assists this season. The fastest to do so in a single season in WNBA.
That night, Clark set a new career best for thefts, 5, and keep in mind, that was while recuperating from a groin injury. The majority of players would pace themselves. Not Clark. At midcourt, she was stealing items, picking pockets, and changing lanes like it was Black Friday.
Really facilitating, she was playmaking, she was getting her teammates involved.
This is where things start to get strange. She was only the 6th player in WNBA history to record more than 10 points, 10 assists, and 5 steals in a single game. We are discussing well-known people who reside in the Hall of Fame area. Clark is only getting started too.
This team today played fast.
She hosted a basketball clinic in addition to being a skilled player. Indiana set a franchise record with 30 team assists. Consider that 30 baskets off of passes in a row. Clark wasn't trying to hit anyone, everyone was being fed by her. She appeared to have activated cheat codes. On God mode, every possession resembled WNBA 2K. She gave the impression that the Wings' defense was on a 4-second delay. Additionally, let's not forget about the second quarter bloodbath.
Mitchell with 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists.
The Fever blew up. The only word is that. They did more than simply score, they let loose a tempest. Within a quarter, 36-15, coaches are forced to reconsider their careers after a run like that. Indiana led all teams in points scored in a half this season with 64 points at the half. It was a record breaker, not just a nice evening. Clark wasn't by himself either.
We had Natasha Howard with 18 points and 2 rebounds and 2.
With 20 points, Kelsey Mitchell lit up the floor, leaving the defense unsure of where the next basket would come from. Indiana was cooking inside, out, during a fast break, etc. In contrast, the Wings' defense appeared to be made of cardboard. 5 folks standing around like they were waiting for a bus, no hustle, no rotation.
Because Paige and Caitlin essentially play the same position, they are both at least
There were some sparks in Dallas. Liuru contributed 16 points, while Natasha Howard put up 18, but let's face it, they were only preventing a 40-point loss. Additionally, the Fever were playing together in addition to playing hard. They appeared to be working as a team. Dallas had the appearance of 5 strangers who had met 15 minutes prior to tip-off in the locker room.
We are looking at where these 2 players are in their WNBA careers. Caitlin is still.
But why was this game so crazy? The rivalry was what made it go from blowout to legendary. Because there were more than 2 inexperienced players hooping. This was an unresolved matter. Caitlin's hopes of winning the title were dashed in the 2020 final by Paige Bueckers. Fans never forgot that she had closed Iowa, and neither did Clark.
Here's Bueckers, a deep one. Is good! Paige Bueckers from Caitlin Clark.
The anxiety was evident from the very first possession. Clark's assists all appeared to be silent flexes. Every theft has a retribution. It was more than simply basketball. It was sweaty, sneaker-clad chess. This time, Clark was out here making sure Paige was aware. I am in charge.
Strategies for these other teams when they go up against Caitlyn, they are as physical as they possibly can be with.
The fact that Paige dropped 21 was irrelevant. She had a better shooting percent, but that didn't matter since Caitlyn had the game's energy, momentum, and dominance. She had more in mind than simply defeating Bueckers. She desired for her to sense it, and you know what? The world took note.
Handle the pressure well, they handle the physicality well, but it's something that has to change, and I'm just...
Video of Clark's cross-court dimes, lockdown steals, and passes. They set TikTok ablaze, millions of views in a matter of hours. ESPN broadcast the highlights as though they were from the NBA Finals. 3 consecutive posts were dropped by Bleacher Report. Twitter trended "She's him." Indeed, he is. Celebrities began to join in as well. Musicians, athletes, and randomly selected verified accounts. Everyone desired to be a part of the Caitlyn Clark performance. The argument then erupted: is she now in her league? Is Paige still being discussed? Was this a single, sweltering evening, or did we see the beginning of a takeover?
This is exactly what we got in mind when we think about this team, when we think about what this team can.
Even WNBA luminaries spoke up, eschewing the courteous their talented remarks. No, this wasn't nonsense. We're talking about historic level adulation. While half the league looked on in disbelief, this 22-year-old was rewriting expectations, and that's where the danger lies. This was no accident. The night wasn't fortunate. The entire WNBA paid notice as Caitlyn Clark did what she does best. And this is the ball backing down. Take a step back. Jordan fades away. Let's clarify one issue. This was more than just a victory. It served as a warning to the leagues. Other teams, the Indiana Fever accomplished more than simply surpassed 500. They entered a hazardous area. Now, that is 11-10 on the winning side of the rankings, officially. This club, who 6 months ago appeared to be in rebuild mode, now appears to be a real threat, and Caitlyn Clark, who was in charge of that shift.
And this is the backing down of the ball. Back down, Jordan fadeaway.
Not just spectacular passes, not just goals. In actuality, she is developing the franchise in real time. She is the type of player who transforms role players into attention getters and improves everyone. It's crazy. It is visible on the floor. There is confidence, ball movement, rhythm, and spacing. It doesn't just occur. The Clark effect is that.
She's a really exciting player, and one thing that impresses me about her is how composed she is as a freshman.
When you turn it over to Dallas, the score is 6-6. That record says a lot. Indeed, Bueckers is amazing. The reality is harsh. Even if she attempted to pull her team forward and gave up 21 points, she is working alone. The Wings' problems were clearly visible: Swiss cheese, defense, and hardly any ball movement. By the second quarter, the energy was gone. The Wings were out of rhythm, weak, and totally overpowered despite strong performances from Lee Wiru and Natasha Howard.
There is still no word on if Caitlyn Clark's going to be in the three-point contest.
And the change is taking place there. The Aces and Liberty have long been dominant teams in the WNBA. However, a new structure is currently emerging. Clark is not merely creating a stir. She is transforming the league's whole atmosphere. She is youthful, unrelenting, and transforming a mediocre squad into one that nobody wants to play against. It's not just about assists or points either. It's a leadership role. She is more than just a player. She is already becoming more and more like a blueprint.
Finding their groove, and they're starting to find that, and this was one of the first games where I feel like there wasn't so much selfish play. They were moving as a unit. They was just sitting on the bench, and she looked defeated, and I didn't love that.
The Paige Bueckers story is far from finished, though. This one does hurt. She accepted the loss. But let's not act as though she will simply disappear. This is only the start. These two are likely to keep running into one another because the WNBA suddenly has a golden rivalry. It's Magic versus Bird. It's Venus versus Serena time. The league is aware of it, the fans sense it. The media is already making the most of it. You can bet your bottom dollar that it will receive top billing the next time these two battle. Caitlyn and Paige are the center of attention on the main page and prime spot. Because two stars aren't the only thing at stake. Franchise identity is at issue. Caitlyn's current team is Indiana. It's personal every time they share the floor as Dallas is being rebuilt around Paige.
Fever continue to play like this, they can be a good team, but I'm not getting too high, I'm not getting too low on everything.
Also, don't take the stakes lightly. These games will have an impact on bragging rights, legacies, and playoff seeding. Additionally, don't count on Paige to be silent the next time. This will stick in her memory, she will be confined, and we might get a game of retribution that will last for generations, because this is undoubtedly a war in process. Furthermore, this is hardly a gradual build-up for the league. The WNBA isn't holding back on expanding, it is exploding. Therefore, if you thought this game was harsh, you had best get comfortable, because the second round, which is scheduled for August 12, 2025, will be even more brutal. To receive the most recent WNBA news, be sure to subscribe to the channel.